All right, welcome to week 10. We are now in full swing with the Texas Government Policy and Politics book. You read chapters 1 and 2 last week. This week, in keeping with our 2 chapters per week format, we have chapters 3 and 4. We also have quiz 3 this week, Friday through Sunday, just like we did with the first 2 quizzes in the midterm. You have beginning Friday 5 o'clock and until 11:59 p.m. on Sunday to take the quiz, and you have a certain limited amount of time to take that quiz. I think it's a minute per question, so there's plenty of time to take it, but it won't be enough time if you haven't studied. So the quiz covers chapters 1 through 4. You're reading chapters 3 and 4 this week. So as you read, you're going to want to highlight. You're going to want to study as you go, make notes, and be preparing for the quiz as you go through the week. You're not going to be able to read and then wait until Thursday or something or Friday to start studying. You're going to want to study as you read. All right, this is chapter 3 is the federal context of Texas policy making. What that refers to is our system of federalism in the United States. This is a system whereby the national government, which we often call the federal government, that's not particularly accurate as a term, but it's the national government and its role in making laws and regulations. And then each state has certain areas in which the states have laws and regulations. And over the history of the country, the amount of stuff that the federal government has assumed for itself has grown and grown and grown, and the amount of stuff that the states can control has shrunk. And this has been in part because the federal government, wants to control more and tries to have one set of laws and rules for the entire country. And in certain respects, that's a positive thing, especially for businesses that work all over the country, so they don't have different laws and regulations in each state. Imagine how complicated that would be. So there are certain areas where having a national law or regulation or set of regulations can be a healthy thing. But it also involves the federal government just absorbing more and more control over individuals' lives in each state. And most of the time, the states argue that they have a unique population base, they have unique issues, they have unique challenges and problems, and they know better how to address those questions than do bureaucrats and politicians in Washington, D.C. So states resist the federal government taking more and more control. In any event, it is what it is in today's world. There have been efforts to reduce the amount of federal regulations and return more power to the states. And whether that's been very successful is subject to opinion. Most people say no. But anyway, chapter 3 will introduce some of these concepts and some of the places where the federal government regulates and where the state government regulates. It will also talk about federal money that goes to states. A lot of the states' budgets are paid for by federal money. And in doing so, the federal government is able to dictate to the states, you will do this, you will do that. This is the way we want these things done. If you don't do them, we'll take the money back. So the federal government is able to use the coercive power of its funding to force states to do things the way the federal government wants them to. Anyway, without going into too much detail about that chapter, that's chapter 3. And then chapter 4 is political participation. And this talks about all the different reasons and factors involved with individuals and groups and their participation in the political process. So I think you're going to find that particularly interesting and informative. Again, at the end of the week, quiz 3 over chapters 1 through 4 of the Texas Government book. And I wish everybody good luck on the quiz, and I hope by now, after having had the 2 quizzes in the midterm, you sort of understand the format, you understand the types of questions you'll have, you anticipate how you need to study so that you'll be able to do really, really well on this quiz. All right, thanks very much, and I'll see you next week.